I remember reading an interview not too long ago where I think you were quoted as saying that at one point George actually said to you, "I'm teaching you to make Star Wars."
Right.
What was the context of that moment, and what was that like for you as a lifelong fan to hear those words from him?
Well, I've had some amazing experiences talking with George, I can tell you. Actually, I can't tell you, but, it's been really interesting, getting to work with him and getting to know him. And it was a funny moment where Henry Gilroy and I were sitting at the table, and he was kind of going over one of the scripts that Henry had written. And he was very much, looking at it, and George makes all his notes. And he said, well, I'm teaching you guys how to make Star Wars, so you have to do it this way. And he wanted certain things a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like that little veil was being lifted between what you think Star Wars is and what, he's going to tell you Star Wars is, and how things actually work,
Mm-hmm.
And so it's always interesting to get him to talk about those things and to get him really to talk in detail about certain aspects of Star Wars or the Force or Jedi that
Right.
you always wondered, so that was kind of an interesting moment for us,
Right, right. Now, George's involvement in the series has certainly increased since obviously the project began. How has it increased, and was that a surprise to you?
No, it was a shock. Really a shock. I mean, I was vaguely familiar with kind of the Cartoon Network micro-series, at least. I mean, I'd watched it, but I was vaguely familiar with how they had actually gone about doing it, which, from what I had gathered, seemed very similar to the process of how they make the comic books and the novels and things. And I assumed when they expanded, kind of like LucasArts when they make a game, that we were just going to be very similar to that company, and we were going to make an animated series. And I was told I might see George 3 times a year, which makes sense because he checks in on you, because he's, the guy, but you're still doing the thing and you're out there making your animated series. And that's
Right.
pretty much how it goes in most animation studios. You have a board above you that reviews everything. But I was really stunned, and so was Henry, as we set out to make this animated series, and just at how interested he became the farther we got along in the process, and it was kind of interesting to watch. I think part of it was that he was done with his movies, so, he wanted to explore more about the characters. I definitely think that was part of it. And I also think he liked the style and the look that we were trying to go for, and the crew that I work with, I can't say enough about them. I get to talk to people all the time, but there's an incredible number of people that are incredibly talented, right there with me doing all this. And they never want to settle, for anything look-wise or quality-wise. And I think that really caught George's eye. And he said, okay, if you want to be pushed, I'll help push you. And he does,
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see what I mean as the series comes out and progresses as far as how I think the look of the Clone Wars and the storytelling of the Clone Wars evolves over time, like, frankly, any TV series does when you watch it.
Of course, right.